Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look here at Bitcoin, see what's going on. It's pretty straightforward. We're retracing, pulling back a bit here. Standard procedure when Bitcoin comes up and starts to consolidate in a range. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be in store for like a power of three type of scenario here, where we see the price action work itself into a nice little lower pullback here to fill that CME gap, and then rips from there to essentially destroy those late shorts. So this is just a potential consideration, not saying it's official there, but it's still very early and premature. But if you're not familiar with Power 3, it's a very standard trading manipulation tactic. And it's happened twice so far in the last week and a half. So I wouldn't be surprised if this happens again. So anyways, just kind of throwing that out there. I'll clean up the charts. I'll post a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. But at this point here, just be mindful we have a CME gap as low as roughly 84,500. Okay, so that could be the next target for us. Or we just range here and effectively continue higher, because this is technically a bullish type of pattern that we're in right now. And ideally, you buy the lower range of this pattern, since we are effectively range bound between 86,000 roughly and approximately 86 or 88.5. Okay, so just some kind of things to be mindful of there. Let's take a look at some back-end liquidation data, go from there. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment below if you get a chance. Thanks again to my community here for some awesome feedback. Appreciate it. We do have some nice profits here from SUI from a trade from last week, hitting upwards about 50% on that guy. So that's pretty awesome. Love to see that. Congrats on that. I wanted to take a long position on that coin yesterday, but I held off just based on the simple fact that, well, it was massively overextended. Same with the market. Bitcoin looks like it's going to pull back. Doesn't make a ton of sense to take a long into the top. Okay, so that's just kind of where we're at there. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look here. 89,000 is that upper range here. 88.5 to 89.5. We could just say round number, 90,000 is the top, as low as the local high. And what that's basically just telling us is there's a lot of shorts starting to stack up there with good reason. They're starting to short that tentative top. Just know we have a lot of liquidation above the price action still, so I would not be surprised if we still continue further higher from here. There's still a lot of good positive signs here for Bitcoin on the charts, and it is effectively a very positive situation. We can see liquidation delta starting to taper off, either longs getting destroyed or they're just closing their trades in profit. We can see 2 billion rather in liquidation delta to the upside, still implying that bulls are fairly still within control of the price action right now. We can see some open interest at the current price point, which makes sense. It's that lower range. We can also recognize that 85.7 and 84.8 are those two heavy concentrations here locally. So if we do pull back, 85.6 and roughly 84.8 are those two areas of potential bounce and or consideration for longs. I would love to get in at about 85,000. That sounds like a very appropriate long consideration. I think we might actually get that based on the current price action. But let's look at some other things here and quickly recognize the daily time frame is in pretty decent shape here. Okay, and we're still in good shape. Once more, we got a lot of confluence here with the 20 and the 200-day SMA at that approximate $85,000 mark. So in a perfect world, the price comes down to 85,000 and we just take a long back to 90. That's roughly the concept. That's what I'm leaning more towards, mainly because there's a lot of, again, confluence there. We can see we're right here at 50 on the RSI, so this is a likely pivot point or bouncing point for us now that we've broken through that threshold. And once more, if you note, you can see this 87,000 roughly, or 86.8 as that local resistance range. Testing it as a support level here. We'll see if that holds. But on the 4-hour time frame, let's see if there's any indications of shifts in momentum. We can't see MACDs diverging. This is just kind of a momentous indicator. Stochastic swinging down for the second time. Carries more weight than the first. We are above 50 on the RSI, so we got some conflicting information here, but majority of these things are bearish as far as sentiment is concerned. It's kind of that shift in momentum. But once more, we typically get these kind of fake outs when the price goes range bound though. So you got to recognize, you got to take that kind of with a grain of salt, but there are more bearish indications here from a momentum standpoint than there are from a support range standpoint. We can see once more a lot of confluence here with the 20 and the 200-day SMA. Those things are just kind of piling up in different areas, and it's typically a good sign here. So if I was a range bound trader and I didn't prefer to kind of more so swing trade, if you will, I would say that this would be an effective range. Buying like the 86.3, 86.4 range is a good consideration for a long up to that roughly 88.2 mark. Okay, once more, it's just based on range trading. Okay, so there's different types of traders out there. Range-bound traders can be very successful, right? You just got to be able to identify and ensure that you have tight margins there, and ensure that you have a stop loss just below that range to ensure if it comes down, you don't get hammered on it, right? Anyways, the whole point of this is that we're in pretty good shape here on the 4-hour time frame. Hourly time frame. The summary here is roughly the same. We're starting to see a shift in momentum here. We were breaking below the cloud. It would make sense for the price to pull back here. And we're in definitely a position where the likelihood of further downside makes more sense. Okay, so hourly is showing us we're definitely shifting gears. And then the 4-hour time frame is effectively letting us know here that we are, in summary, outside of range trading here. If we lose this range, it's very probable to see the 84 to 85K range. So I'm going to hold out myself personally on a Bitcoin long until I see that sub 86,000 mark, and at that point I'll consider a long position. Between now and then, hypothetically, you could definitely consider a long position right now and probably have some success. Just make sure you watch it close and ensure that you know what you want out of the trade before you get into it. Because if you're just kind of blindly jumping in right now because we're at the tentative bottom, that's not really a good strategy. You want to have a game plan at all times. So let's take make sure you take a look here at our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. Of course, if you're not familiar, that is available here. Be sure to check out our Bitunix deposit bonus as well. It's a nice little progressive prize pool too. There's a lot of rewards available there that starts now. So make sure you use my link to register if you haven't already. If you previously used my link to register, you're good to go. I hope you have a good rest of your day, the way you look at it. Thanks again so much for being an awesome part of my life. We'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself out there. Bye-bye.